Hi, today we're going to work on Man of Sorrows. We're looking at the soprano and bass voices. So the first thing we want to do is determine the fingering for the right hand. If we take a look at the first three notes, which is a G, E, and a C, you might notice that that actually outlines a chord. Let's look at what that chord looks like on the piano. If we build it from the bottom note, E, G, and C, that's a C major triad in first inversion. Okay, notice how I'm using the fingerings 1, 2, and 5. So that's a logical way to determine the fingering here. Basically, you can look at the outlined harmonies and say, well, what fingering would I use to play that if that were played as a block chord? So I'm going to put my thumb on the E, second finger on the G, the fifth finger on the C. That means we're going to start this with second finger. Okay? So we can try, let's go ahead and try just the first bar into the second. So you'll have 2, 2, 2, 1, 5. And notice how my hand is already in that chord position. Okay, so make sure your hand's already in that position and try with me. Ready, play. 2, 2, 2, 1, 5. Just like that. All right, so if fifth finger is already on the C, then we're just going to go to fourth finger on the B. That's the natural progression. The next question we want to ask ourselves is, do we need to shift our hand? Okay, so if we don't shift our hand, third finger would be on this A, second finger on the G, fifth finger is still on the C, then 4, 3, 2. It works. So we actually don't have to shift the hand for the entire first line. Let's try the third and fourth measures. So my hand is still in the same position with my second finger on G. And this time I'm going to start with third finger on A. So it's just going to be 3, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2. And it's perfectly fine to think about finger numbers instead of notes. In fact, sometimes it makes it a lot easier to play. Let's try that together. Third finger on A. Ready, and 3, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2. And now let's try putting that entire first system together. So again, my hand is already starting in the first inversion of C major position, where my thumb is on E, second finger is on G, and fifth finger is on C. Here we go. 2, 2, 2, 1, 5, 5, 4, and 3, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2. Excellent. Now let's take a look at the next measure. You might notice that it's exactly the same as the first measure. So let's use the same fingering. It makes sense. So we'll start again. 2, 2, 2, 1, 5. 2, 2, 2, 1, 5. But something changes here. If we look ahead, we're going to have to access some higher notes. We have a D and an E here that we're going to have to reach. So now we have to change our fingering just a little bit here. To figure this out, let's work backwards. If we look at the very last note here, it's a G. So probably the thumb makes a lot of sense there. So let's write the thumb for that G. If our thumb is on G, that means second finger's on A. Now this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Because if we look at the high note, the E, we can assume fifth finger belongs on that E. If fifth finger's on that E, that means fourth finger's on the D and third finger's on the C. The same for this D and the same for this C. Because 3, 4, 5 makes a lot of sense there, and 4, 3. And if that's the case, then I think it makes a lot of sense to actually stretch between the 3 on the C and the second finger on the A. Like that. 3, 2, 2, 1. Like that. Okay. So let's try just this much here. Notice we're just doing just the ending there. Okay, from 3, 2, 2, and 1, like that. Just to get used to that stretch between the third and second fingers. Okay. Now let's try the last 2 bars of the right hand. So fifth finger is going to be on E, fourth is on D, third is on C, but second finger is stretched on A. All right, here we go. Ready and try. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So, if we look back at this measure here, measure 6, we have repeated C's in the right hand, but we need to end up on third finger on the C. Okay? There's a few ways you could do this. One way is to alternate fingerings. You could do 5, 4, 3, like this. C, 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 with 5, 4, 3. Try that with me. Ready and try. 5, 4, 3. So that's one natural way to do it. Of course, you could also choose to just stay on 5 and then make the switch to C on the last C. 5, 5, 5, switch. 3, 4, 5. Or you could switch early. You could go to 5, 5, switch. 3, 3, 3, 4, 5. All of those are very natural ways of making that shift. So all of those are options. So experiment with those 3 and then select the one that fits your hand the best. Now let's take a look at the left hand fingering. I'm going to go ahead and erase the right hand fingerings. All right. For the left hand, we're going to use the same strategy we did for the right hand. We're going to look at the first chord that's outlined. If you look here, we have a C and an A and an E. Well, that outlines an A minor triad. 3, 5, 1. So that's the fingering that we'll use here. We'll start with third finger. 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, 5, 1 in the left hand. Okay. And we're down in A position. Let's try that together, the first 2 bars of the left hand. So third finger on bass C. Ready and play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 1. Okay. All right. For the next section here, the parameter of notes is actually pretty wide. We have a low note here, which we can assume is going to be fifth finger. We have a high note here, which we could assume is going to be 1. Right? It doesn't have to be 1, but it could be. So if we take that, and we say 1, 1, which means 2 would be on E, 4 would be on C, and 3 would be on D. But we need to get down to this 5 here. So one way to do this is to switch 3, 1, 5, 3, 1, 5, where you have third finger on D, 3, 1, 5. Another way to do this would be to switch early. 1, 1, 5. Okay? So in one version, you're doing 4, 1. In the other version, you're doing 4, 3. Okay, so let's try that together. This is bar 3, starting with your thumb on F. So the first version you can do is 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, or 1, 1, 2, 4, 1. All right? So let's try both and see which one is more comfortable for you. Ready and try. 1, 1, 2, 4, 3. And now let's try 1, 1, 2, 4, 1. Ready and try. 1, 1, 2, 4, 1. can kind of experiment there. Moving along, the last line, if we look at this part here, it's outlining a chord. This is C, E, G, C. It's like an arpeggio. It's exactly the same as an arpeggio. So we use arpeggio fingering there, which for most people will be 5, 4, 2, 1, although you could use 5, 3, 2, 1. I'll switch views here so you can see the fingering. So last line, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 2, 1. And the ending here, this outlines a triad. A, F, C, like that. So it makes sense to use our thumb on the A, second finger on the F, and fifth finger on the C. If that's the case, then second finger actually makes sense on this G. 2, 1, 1, 2, and 5. And that's the fingering for the left hand on Man of Sorrows.